This is a quick tutorial to walk you through the steps that we encourage you to use when reviewing the responses to issues identified in the Corridor Abstract Review tables. In this tutorial, we assume you're familiar with the mapping tool. If you are not, please consult the short videos about using the Corridor Mapping tool and a potential conflict analysis. As you can see in the Regional Review Process graphic, we are at Step 1, Corridor Abstract Development. We released the draft abstracts for stakeholder review, have incorporated their input, and are revising the abstracts to be released once again before the stakeholder workshops in early June. For each of the issues identified in the Corridor Abstract Review tables, we are studying whether or not each corridor best meets the siting principles stated in the settlement agreement listed here. Each issue was reviewed and given a draft response, but we need your review of each response. This chart depicts a stepwise method to use when looking at each of these issues. For each issue, does the current corridor best meet the siting principles? We're calling this Bucket 1. Or, we can identify opportunities to improve corridor placement or IOPs, Bucket 2. Or, we acknowledge that the concern is not easily resolved or avoided by corridor level planning, Bucket 3. As indicated, please also use the mapping tool when reviewing these issues. We will be using an example from Corridor 61207 to walk you through the process. The concern here is that the corridor is located near pronghorn habitat. First, ask the question, can the corridor be rerouted or relocated in part or whole to avoid the concern without causing greater concern related to energy transmission development? Make sure you turn on the layers for existing or planned energy infrastructure and local corridors to see if there is an alternate route. Here we can see that there is existing infrastructure in the corridor. There doesn't appear to be an opportunity to reroute the corridor along other existing infrastructure or local corridors in the area. If the answer were yes, you would turn on the Regional Review Assessment Potential for Regions 2 and 3, also known as the Conflict Map layer, to see other potential conflicts along the potential reroute location. Please also use your local knowledge of the area and potential conflicts. Since we answered no to question 1, we move to question 2. Is this a concern routinely addressed by an existing Interagency Operating Procedure or IOP? The IOPs can be found in both the BLM and U.S. Forest Service Records of Decision, which are on the Corridor Project website under the Documents tab. See Appendix B in these documents for the IOPs. IOPs are essentially best management practices and are not intended to replace or restate existing policy or manuals. Continuing the review process, if the answer to question 2 is yes, then we can indicate Bucket 1, or that the corridor best meets the siting principles at its current location. In this case, the habitat restoration is addressed in IOPs, but not as it pertains to fawning or species disruption, so the answer to question 2 would be no, and we will move on to question 3, which is, can a new IOP address this concern? So far, we are proposing new IOPs for wildlife connectivity, inventoried roadless areas, lands with wilderness characteristics, national scenic trails and national historic trails, visual resources, and coordination with DoD. If you see the possibility for additional IOPs to address concerns, please indicate this in the abstract table. and the yes answer to question 3 would indicate a bucket 2, identify opportunities to improve corridor placement or IOPs. However, this issue is not addressed in a new IOP, nor would a new IOP resolve the concern. Moving on to question 4, does the corridor still meet the siting principles to the degree possible at this location? If yes, we acknowledge the concern and indicate a bucket 3. We acknowledge that the concern is not easily resolved or avoided by corridor level planning. In the example we are using, concern regarding pronghorn habitat is likely a bucket 3 and will be addressed at the project-specific level. If the answer is no, that the corridor's current location does not meet the siting principles of minimum impact on the environment and maximum utility, then we might consider this corridor for deletion, which is bucket 2. If you do encounter potential deletion, please indicate why it does not meet the siting principles. Going back to the abstract, the draft content for agency review and analysis is in the last column, with the draft bucket in parentheses. While these entries have been pre-populated, your unique expertise and experience are essential for a well-informed response, especially your knowledge of local issues that may not be known to others or encapsulated in available data. Thank you for your help in this review. If you have questions, please contact us at one of these addresses.